Entertainment Soldier here, and I am back to talk about The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 1, and my thoughts on this episode. Okay, to start off with, I'm going to talk about the first season of Mandalorian and my thoughts on that, just to tell you where I am with Mandalorian. I thought the first season of Mandalorian was okay. It wasn't fantastic, but it didn't piss me off, and there wasn't any SJW bullshit in that series. In that first season, so it was a strong start for Mandalorian, but the problem right now is it was boring in some places, and it could have been a lot more quicker. Again, the problem really was that they were really safe with the first season of Mandalorian, and in this season we're going to need them to kind of step up the game. But the first season of Mandalorian was good, and it's a great start for this series. This episode was actually very interesting and was actually good. It was fun to watch, which is very surprising for Star Wars in this day and age. And I'm very happy that I'm not angry. This was actually nice to watch. It was fun at places, exciting, the acting was great, the special effects were very good, the music could be a little better, but other than that, yes, this episode was actually very good. And I'm just going to say this, another thing, they actually listened to us. The writers of this show listened to the fans, because they put more time in this episode. It wasn't half an hour, it was 53 minutes. They listened to the fans. And in this day and age, that is a fucking shock. So I'm very happy that we got more time for The Mandalorian, which is what you want from a series. You want your fans to be asking for more time. You want to ask for more because that tells you the show is doing good. And I like The Mandalorian. I like the extras in this episode. I also like that we're seeing a lot more of the Sand People, because I actually like it when we learn more about the lore of Star Wars instead of them shitting on the lore of Star Wars. You know, you can add to something without ruining it, which is something that a lot of these idiots in Hollywood don't understand. And they haven't done anything bad in this episode. There was no SJW bullshit. There was no preaching. Some people may say the Tusken Raiders are just like a copy of, Native Americans and all that stuff. Like, listen. It's not SJW to make interesting characters and try and add lore to people. Okay, that's actually interesting and can bring more people into the show. That's fine. As long as it doesn't fuck up canon, I'm okay with it. Okay? And this episode didn't do anything to piss me off. Now, was it interesting at times? Yes, that's what I like about this show, is you get to see these little Easter eggs, and you get to see this, there's so much lore in this episode as well. And it just feels so good to actually review something that didn't piss me off. It kind of feels good. It's kind of weird, because usually at this point I'm shouting and I'm angry, and it's very weird not to be like that right now. But all in all, very strong episode, great start to the season, and I'm hoping it does get a little faster, and I want to see a lot more action. But this was actually very, very good. But let's get to the spoiler part now. So the episode starts off with the Mandalorian walking down the street with all this graffiti on the walls. He's meeting up with some gangster to find Mandalorians, because his leader told him he needs to return Baby Yoda to his kind, which is the Jedi. And this gangster knows where he can find Mandalorians. When we get there, we see a fight between these two aliens. I don't know the race, I'm sorry, but they're fighting with axes, and Mandalorian sits next to the gangster. They have a little conversation about the fight. Mando mentions that he doesn't make bets because he doesn't like to leave his life to chance. Turns out this gangster wants his armor. He gets his men to surround him. Oh no, he shoots one of the aliens in the head, and all his guards surround Mando. Everybody, the crowd runs out of the room, and the gangster guy's like, I want your Beskar armor because it's very valuable, and he likes the armor himself. Mando pretty much gives him a choice. You either let me walk out the door with the information, or I'll kill you and all your men. Then he pretty much uses his whisper torpedoes. I don't know if that's their name, but he uses whisper weapons. They fire all around. He kills all of the gangsters' guard. Baby Yoda, the cute scene, he presses his button and his shield comes up, or whatever it's called. And then the Mandalorian pretty much slaughters all of this gangster's men. He then manages to catch the gangster. He hangs him up from a light post, and tells him, if you don't tell me what I want to know, then I'm going to kill you. And the gangster's pretty much shitting himself and says, listen, all I know is that there's a Mandalorian on Tatooine. But Mando mentions that he's already been to Tatooine. He didn't see any Mandalorians there. But the gangster says, listen, that's all I know. Please don't kill me. And the Mando pretty much says, I'm not going to kill you. Shoots at the light and just lets all these wild dogs eat the gangster alive. And that's the end of him. Then we go to Tatooine, where we meet up with the old lady from the first season of Mando. She sends the robots to fix the Mando ship. Mando asks for a map and a what is it called again? A speeder bike, and he wants to head to the Dune Sea to go to this town where there's been sightings of this Mandalorian. He heads off with Baby Yoda. He stops off for a quick sec to talk to some Sand people. He then leaves Sand people and heads to the small town. He arrives at the small town and heads to the tavern to talk to the bartender. He asks the bartender, have you seen the Mandalorians? The bartender says, what does the Mandalorian look like? And Mando points to himself and says, like this. And then he says, yeah, he's our marshal. And then the marshal turns up at the tavern, and what do you know? It's Boba fucking Fett. No, it's not. It turns out Boba Fett, this guy bought Boba Fett's armor from the Jawas, and Mando's pretty pissed off because he feels like he's had a wasted journey, and that armor does not belong to this guy. So he tells the marshal to hand over the armor, or he's going to kill him. The marshal pretty much refuses because that's the only reason the town hasn't been attacked, because the armor's pretty good and he can defend the town from multiple people with it. But before they shoot each other, turns out that there's a bigger problem for the town and Mando. That there's a crate dragon on the loose, and in the scene it heads to the town. It kind of nearly destroys the town, but then it eats a bantha and then walks away. And the marshal tells Mando, listen, you help me kill the monster, I'll give you the armor back. Mando agrees, and they head off to hunt down the crate dragon. Whilst they're going to hunt down the crate dragon, we see the marshal's speeder, and it looks very familiar to Anakin's pod racer, which I actually did enjoy. I thought that was very interesting and a little Easter egg for people. I also felt the armor, I mean, we all know that what that means. It means Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc pit, and it will be good to hopefully see him in the next episode, but we'll get to that. But I thought it was really interesting to see the Boba Fett's armor again. Anyway, where was I? So they head through these tunnels, and they bump into all these dogs, the Sand People's dogs. The Marshal wants to shoot the dogs, but Mando makes a Sand People noise, and the dogs calm down, and he manages to pat one, and then he tells the Marshal that they're Sand People's dogs and that we need to trust them. Sand People come out, and it turns out the Marshal doesn't really like the Sand People because the Sand People attack his town a lot, and he's got to defend his people from them. But Mando's like, listen, you need to trust them because they're here doing what we're trying to do, which is to kill the Sarlacc dragon. Not Sarlacc dragon. Crate dragon. So the Marshal reluctantly agrees to go to the Sand People's camp. Mando starts to do sign language with the Sand People and talk in their language, which I actually thought was kind of interesting. You know, to see the Mando can speak Sand People, because I think a lot of people don't really understand what the Sand People are, because they keep thinking they're like a tribal people. It's like, yes, they are, but if you know Star Wars lore, you know the Sand People used to be a very technological race, and that Tatooine used to be a green planet, but a great storm came that destroyed Tatooine, turned it into a desert planet. That's just a little bit of lore from Star Wars: The Old Republic. But you know, it's interesting because you don't really see a lot of the Sand People. You only see them on Tatooine. They're kind of just shown as these thugs who just rob and kill people. They're actually a very interesting species if you learn the lore. And when you learn the lore about Sand People, you learn the lore about Tatooine, and you find out all this information about what happened to the planet, and there was this great storm, and I was really interested in hearing that story in the game, and I'm in Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I kind of hope we find out more information about Sand People like that, because again, that's really interesting. Anyway, round the campfire with the Sand People and the Mandalorian, the Marshal's not really comfortable. The Sand People offer him this drink, but apparently it smells like crap. He doesn't want to drink it, and the Sand People get very offended by this, and they bring up the fact that you steal our water. The Marshal's like, we don't steal your water, you kill our people, and Mando just gets his flamethrower and burns it into the sky. He's like, listen, we need to work together, because if we don't work together, then the Crate Dragon's going to fucking kill us all. So the Sand People and the Marshal agree, calm down, and then they head off to the Crate Dragon's pit, where the Crate Dragon is. The Sand People then leave, and this is something I'm actually very, very happy to see, is because I brought up Star Wars: The Old Republic. Now this whole scene reminded me so much this reminded me so much of the mission to kill the Sarlacc dragon. Not Sarlacc dragon, why are you calling it Sarlacc dragon? The Crate Dragon in the game, where you had to leave a bantha in front of the hole for the Crate Dragon to come out and eat it. So that shows me the writers of this show have actual knowledge of Star Wars. That's what blew my mind. It's like this exact scene was in that game. All of it. And I love that. And it shows that these people have watched multiple things. They know a lot of Star Wars lore. And it just makes me, as a Star Wars fan, feel so much better about, hope for this show. To see they put that much detail and that much thought into this episode, which I really did enjoy. I loved it, man. It's actually great to see. So the Sand People leave a bantha outside, hoping that the Crate Dragon will go after that. Turns out a crate dragon doesn't want to eat Bantha, he wants to eat sand people. He comes out from underground and it eats the sand person. And then Mando and the Marshal then agree that, yeah, we need more people to win this fight. Sand people try to make up a plan, but they need more people. And the Mando says, we're going to need your town, Marshal. So the Marshal reluctantly agrees, and he knows that, listen, if I don't kill this dragon, the dragon's just going to kill them all. They go back to... Oh my god, I completely forgot. Okay, alright, we're going to pause that there. I forgot to mention about how the Marshal got the Boba Fett armor. I know I said he got it from the Jawas, but there's more to it. Sorry. So it turns out, on the day of the destruction of the second Death Star, people were cheering and happy, and the Empire was retreating from Tatooine. But it turned out a mining consortium came into town, killed a bunch of people to try and take over the town, and the Marshal was able to get out of there and grab something off of the mining consortium's speeder. Turns out it was a bunch of diamonds. He gets he collapses in the middle of the desert from first. The Jawas pick him up. He finds the Boba Fett armor. He gives the Jawas the diamonds for it. He takes that armor and he heads back into town and pretty much slaughters every mining guard. And then he uses the missile, which was actually a very good scene. So I'm sorry I missed that, but again, this episode was so good. You know, there were great parts of this episode, and I just want to make sure I get it out clearly. Anyway, where was we? Yes. So the Marshal and Mando head back to town, and they have to convince the townspeople that, listen, we need to work together to kill the dragon, and if we don't kill the dragon, we're all going to die anyway. Townspeople agree, but the Marshal has to explain that we're going to have to work with the Sand people because they have equipment that we need and they would add up to our numbers. A lot of the townspeople are not really happy with that because, again, the Sand people do raid their town and kill their people. But at the end of the day, my enemy's enemy is my friend. Let's work together, and the town reluctantly agrees to work with the Sand people to kill the Krayt Dragon. The the Sand people then arrive at the town to collect the explosives. They start handing the explosives to the Sand people. One Sand person drops one of the bombs. One of the townspeople gets very angry, tries to get in the face of the Sand person. But the Sand people gather around and a fight nearly breaks up. But the Marshal's like, listen, it was a mistake. Let's just get over it. Let's just concentrate on killing the dragon. And the townspeople and the Sand people calm down and they head off to the Krayt home, the Krayt Dragon's hole. They get to the Krayt Dragon's hole and they then start setting up, which again, this entire scene was amazing and so much thought was put into it. They had put up all these, what would you call them? What the hell do you call them? Harpoons. They set up all these harpoons around the front of the tunnel, ready for the Krayt Dragon to come out. And I love that there would actually look like so much planning had been put into this. Because again, in Disney Star Wars, there doesn't seem to be a lot of planning. It just seems to be either copying or just ridiculous, crazy shit like a chase in space. But this looked like they put so much thought into it. Like, they put the bombs in front of the tunnel, and they try to lure the dragon out, and they're going to then harpoon the dragon to try and keep it out so that they can kill it. They then get ready to set up because the dragon's asleep. when they're ready, 3 Tusken Raiders head to the front of the tunnel and then shout in the Sand People's way, and then they wake up the Krayt Dragon. When the Krayt Dragon wakes up, comes out of a tunnel, they fire the harpoons at it, and then the Krayt Dragon eats one of the Sand People, tries to head back into safety, back into the tunnel, but the village people, not the village people, the townspeople run in, throw a bunch of bombs at the Krayt Dragon to try and piss it off to come out. They succeed at doing that. Dragon comes out. They start firing more weapons at it. The Sand People's rifles, and everybody else starts throwing everything they can at the dragon to try and get it more and more out, so its body is over the bombs. Mando and the Marshal are up top with the detonator, and Mando's got to keep telling the Marshal to wait and wait until the dragon is over the bomb. The dragon is also killing Sand People and normal people, and when it gets out, the Marshal then blows the bomb up, and then the Krayt Dragon goes underground, and everybody thinks it's dead, except for the Mando and the Marshal. The Krayt Dragon then comes back up, attacks more of the group. The Marshal and the Mando realise that they need to do something else to kill the dragon, so they use their jetpacks, which again, I love this scene. The jetpack scene was amazing. They fly around the Krayt Dragon. They try to get its attention so they can draw it somewhere so they can kill it. What else is there? So Mando realises that the Bantha has a bunch of bombs on it. He tells the Marshal to give him the detonator, and then he pretty much hits the Marshal's jetpack in the same way Solo hit Boba Fett in Return of the Jedi, and he flies off in a it was a very funny scene. He then waits for the Krayt Dragon to open his mouth. The Bantha nearly runs off, but he manages to keep the Bantha nearby, to keep the bombs nearby, and then the Krayt Dragon swallows the Mandalorian and the Bantha, and then goes back underground. The Mandalorian then stuns the Krayt Dragon, and then is spit right out, and then the Mando blows up the Krayt Dragon, and then the Krayt Dragon dies. I should really say it's better than that, but that's what happens. The Krayt Dragon gets blown up, falls down, and dies. That's better. After this is all done, the Sand People get to work on what do they do again? Collecting all of its bits, all of its skin, its blood and guts, because I think they're going to sell it or eat it, or I don't know. They find this pearl thing. I'm not sure what that is, but it seems to be important. And then the Mando gets on his bike, goes to his speeder bike, and the Marshal hands over Boba Fett's armor. Mando and the Marshal then the Marshal says to Mando, "I hope to see you again." Mando nods, and Mando and Baby Yoda then head off back to the ship with the armor. And in the last scene, we see Boba Fett. And that is how the episode ends. I'm very sorry for this review being a bit boring, but I'm not really used to reviewing something that doesn't piss me off. This was a very good episode. I hope this continues, but I do hope it gets a bit faster. I love the lore that we learned in this episode, and I also love the fact we saw a lot of history, or at least a lot of the same things we saw in Star Wars games, like in the Old Republic. Again, Star Wars fans are not asking for much. We're just asking for respect, and we're asking for entertaining things to watch. This was entertaining to watch, and it was fun to watch. And if Mandalorian can keep this up and not try to piss us off, then I think Mandalorian has got a very bright future, and maybe there's a bit of hope that Star Wars has a great future. Watch this episode, it's amazing. I'm just so happy that I can review something now that doesn't piss me off. Hail the Fandom Menace, long live CG, and fuck SJWs. If you like this episode, if you like this review, please like. If you don't like this review, give it a dislike. And if you like my content, please think about subscribing to my channel. Bye.